Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. You know how much we all love staying ahead of the curve when it comes to medical tech?
Absolutely.
Well, today we are diving into something truly groundbreaking, using AI to potentially change how we look at thyroid nodules.
Really interesting stuff.
Yeah, remember that research paper you sent over on AIBx?
Yeah, I think so. What was that about again?
Well, get this. It uses image similarity to help doctors figure out which nodules actually need biopsies.
Oh, okay, that's pretty cool.
So this deep dive, we're going to unpack exactly what AIBx, how it works, and what it could mean for, well, anyone who's ever gotten nervous waiting for biopsy results.
Makes sense.
Let's face it, thyroid nodules are incredibly common.
Yeah, over half of women over 50 will develop one at some point.
Exactly. It's like if you haven't had one, you probably know someone who has. And that's where the challenge comes in, right?
Yeah, because they're so common. Figuring out which ones are actually a problem is really important.
Right.
The current systems we use rely a lot on a doctor looking at an ultrasound and making a judgment call.
And that can be subjective.
Exactly. And because it's subjective, it can lead to unnecessary biopsies.
Biopsies. No thanks.
Yeah.
Nobody wants that. It reminds me of this one time. Actually, it's better if I don't name names. Let's just say a close friend of mine went through the whole thyroid nodule roller coaster, the anxiety, the waiting, and it turned out to be totally fine.
Oh, wow.
Talk about stressful.
Yeah, I bet.
So how can we take some of that stress away?
Well, that's where this whole AIBx thing comes in.
Okay, let's hear it. Okay, so this AIBx, it's like our AI detective here to hopefully save us from those unnecessary biopsies.
That's a great way to put it.
So how does it even work? Is it really going to revolutionize how we deal with these nodules?
Well, it just might. The idea is this. You've got a doctor looking at an ultrasound image of a thyroid nodule, right?
Right.
But instead of having to make a judgment call based solely on their own experience, they can feed that image into AIBx.
So it's like a second opinion, but from an AI. That's kind of cool and a little scary at the same time.
I know, right? But think about it this way. AIBx has access to this huge database of ultrasound images, thousands of them, each one carefully labeled with a confirmed diagnosis.
Okay, so it's like a giant photo album, but for thyroid nodules.
Exactly. And when a doctor needs help, AIBx flips through this album, finds the closest matches to the patient's image, and uses that to offer some insights.
Okay, so it's not just spitting out a random answer. It's actually comparing the patient's image to real-world cases. That makes me feel a little bit better.
Right. It's all based on patterns and data.
So how do we know if it's actually any good? Does it do better than the traditional methods?
That's the big question. And the research you shared had some pretty interesting findings.
Really? Like what?
Well, for one, AIBx didn't just perform as well as the traditional methods. In some cases, it actually did a better job, especially when it came to ruling out cancer.
Wow. Hold on. How did it do a better job?
There's this one type of benign nodule that often causes confusion with the traditional methods, leads to a lot of those unnecessary biopsies.
Not bad.
AIBx was able to identify these tricky nodules much more accurately, which could potentially save tons of people from going through those procedures.
Okay, that's impressive. But, there's always that little voice in the back of my head saying, but what if the AI gets it wrong?
Oh, absolutely. It's a totally valid concern, especially
Right.
with a lot of AI systems being these black boxes. You get an answer, but who knows how they got there?
Exactly. It's like,
Yeah.
did it analyze my medical data or did it base my diagnosis on the fact that I wore mismatched socks to my appointment?
Haha, right. But that's another area where AIBx really shines. It's not just about a yes or no answer. It shows its work.
Oh, really?
Yeah, doctors can actually see the similar images that AIBx used from its database to make the assessment. That transparency is huge. It builds trust and helps make sure the AI is making decisions based on real medical patterns, not just random noise.
So it's like AIBx is showing the doctor its thought process. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, doc, here's what I'm seeing. What do you think? I like that a lot.
It's all about collaboration.
This is all really promising. But even with the accuracy and the transparency, there's still this big question. Are we ready to let AI take the wheel completely when it comes to our health?
It's a big step, for sure, and not one we should take lightly.
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Are we really ready to hand over all the control?
Well, maybe not all of it. Not just yet.
Okay, good, because I'm not ready to give up my doctor visits completely.
Yeah, I hear you. But look, this technology, it's super promising. The study you shared, that was a big step in the right direction.
It was really cool.
It was, but it was relatively small. We need more data. Larger studies, thousands of patients, multiple hospitals, that kind of thing, to really get a sense of its true potential. And limitations, of course.
So for now, maybe don't go canceling all your future doctor's appointments.
Probably a good idea.
But let's say these positive results, they hold up in those bigger studies. What kind of impact could we be talking about here?
Oh man, the possibilities are huge. Imagine doctors being able to diagnose and manage thyroid nodules way more effectively. Fewer unnecessary biopsies, less anxiety for patients. It could be a game changer.
And think about the cost savings for the healthcare system if we're doing fewer procedures.
Absolutely. And it's not just about the money. Think about people who don't have easy access to specialists. This technology could make that expert-level diagnosis available to way more people.
Okay, now that you mention it, this could be huge for making healthcare more equitable.
Exactly.
Wow, this whole deep dive has been incredible.
Yeah.
We went from what even is a thyroid nodule to this AI could seriously change everything.
That's the beauty of technology, right? Always pushing the boundaries.
It is pretty amazing. But before we wrap things up, I have one last thought. We've been laser focused on thyroid nodules this whole time. But what about other areas of medicine? Could this kind of image similarity AI work for other things?
Oh, absolutely. We're already talking about using it for early cancer detection, analyzing X-rays, CT scans, even guiding surgeries. The possibilities are pretty much endless.
Now, those are the questions that'll keep me up at night. In a good way, of course.
Always keep asking those questions, my friend.
That's the plan. Well, that's about all the time we have for today's deep dive. But keep those brain cogs turning, because the world of medical technology is changing faster than ever. And with tools like AIBx on the horizon, the future of healthcare, it's looking pretty bright. Until next time, stay curious, everyone, and we'll catch you on our next deep dive into the world of cutting-edge science and tech.